Faith has always been the bridge between limitation and abundance, the invisible force that transforms impossibility into possibility. When one approaches a psalm or a sacred scripture with deliberate focus, reverence, and unwavering belief, a shift occurs, not only in circumstance, but in mindset, energy, and perception. Poverty, scarcity, and limitation are often external reflections of internal beliefs. They manifest when fear, doubt, and negativity dominate the mind. Yet, the spiritual principle is clear. When faith, intention, and action align, the flow of abundance cannot be blocked. This psalm, practiced over 3 days with sincere devotion, is not merely words spoken. It is a declaration, a realignment of the soul, a vehicle through which God's provision and universal abundance are invited into one's life. The first step is faith. Without faith, repetition of a psalm is hollow. It becomes a ritual without impact. Faith is the inner, knowing that the invisible is more powerful than the visible, that divine providence can shift circumstances in ways that human effort alone cannot. Poverty is not simply a lack of resources. It is a belief system that manifests in limitation. When this psalm is recited with faith for 3 consecutive days, it begins to overwrite these limiting beliefs. Each word, each syllable, each thought becomes infused with divine energy, stirring the soul, aligning intention, and preparing the mind to receive abundance. The energy of faith transforms the psalm from letters on a page into a conduit of divine intervention. Consistency is crucial. 3 days is not an arbitrary number. It is a concentrated period of intentional focus. Just as a seed must be nurtured consistently to grow, the energy of abundance requires repetition, focus, and patience to manifest. During these 3 days, one must not merely recite the psalm mechanically, but immerse oneself fully, visualizing the removal of poverty, feeling the joy of provision, and embracing the certainty of divine assistance. The heart must resonate with the words, allowing them to permeate every corner of thought, belief, and action. This consistency activates spiritual momentum, creating a force that begins to realign circumstances in alignment with abundance. Visualization amplifies the impact of this psalm. When reciting, one should picture the life free from limitation, the moments of prosperity and provision, and the doors opening that previously seemed closed. Spiritual laws operate in tandem with consciousness. The clearer the vision, the stronger the magnetic pull toward abundance. Poverty begins to dissolve when the mind, heart, and spirit are aligned with the expectation of provision. This psalm, practiced with visualization, becomes more than words. It becomes a bridge between the current state and the life that is possible. The divine response is activated not by fear or desperation, but by clarity, faith, and intention. Gratitude is essential throughout this process. Abundance is not merely about acquiring wealth. It is about recognizing the flow of provision already present and acknowledging it with reverence. As the psalm is recited over 3 days, it is vital to cultivate gratitude for small blessings, moments of guidance, and signs of provision. Gratitude transforms the energy from lack to fullness, from expectation to reception. The universe responds to appreciation with more to be grateful for, and God's provision is drawn to hearts that acknowledge its presence. When poverty is approached with gratitude, it begins to lose its hold. Each day, the psalm amplifies the sense of blessing, reinforcing faith and reinforcing the spiritual law of return. Action is also part of the equation. The psalm is a spiritual instrument, but it is complemented by intentional steps that reflect readiness to receive abundance. Opportunities that align with provision should be embraced, resources managed wisely, and efforts directed toward constructive growth. Poverty disappears not simply through hope or repetition alone. It is dissolved when spiritual practice is integrated with purposeful action. Faith activates energy. Visualization aligns intention. Gratitude strengthens vibration, and action creates channels for abundance to manifest tangibly. The 3 days of dedication are therefore a holistic engagement of mind, heart, and body, in alignment with divine abundance. Patience is required. While the psalm carries powerful energy, its impact is gradual and cumulative. Change does not always occur instantaneously in visible form, but shifts begin internally first, in belief systems, attitudes, and perceptions. A woman or man reciting this psalm with devotion may notice small changes initially, new opportunities, improved clarity, shifts in relationships, or subtle signs of provision. These are the initial movements of the universal energy responding to focused intention. Trusting the process and remaining consistent ensures that the momentum continues, eventually manifesting as tangible abundance that removes poverty from life. Spiritual alignment is the final key. Poverty often persists because of resistance, attachment to fear, or misalignment with divine principles. This psalm, practiced with sincerity, aligns the soul with divine intention. It creates resonance between human desire and the flow of God's provision. By engaging with the psalm with humility, reverence, and focused belief, one removes spiritual blocks that prevent abundance. The alignment allows divine energy to move freely, shifting both the internal state of belief and the external circumstances of life. Faith, focus, gratitude, and alignment work together as an inseparable whole to ensure that poverty cannot remain in the presence of divine intention. The power of 3 days lies also in dedication. Short-term commitment with intensity creates a spiritual shockwave, a concentrated focus that commands attention. Each recitation is a declaration that scarcity has no hold, that the practitioner is deserving, and that provision is inevitable. It is in this intensity of focus that poverty begins to dissolve, fear begins to wane, and abundance begins to take root. The 3 days are a concentrated period of spiritual activation, a sacred interval during which divine law responds to faith, action, and intention in a measurable way. In conclusion, this psalm practiced over 3 days is not merely a ritual, it is a transformational experience. It is a disciplined, focused, and intentional alignment with faith, visualization, gratitude, action, and spiritual alignment. Poverty is not a permanent condition. It is a state of mind and energy that responds to belief, focus, and action. By engaging with this psalm fully, with unwavering faith and deliberate intention, the practitioner opens themselves to divine provision and universal abundance. Poverty begins to disappear not only externally but internally. As beliefs shift, energy flows, and the life of prosperity becomes inevitable. The 3 days of dedication are a powerful spiritual tool to manifest abundance, remove limitation, and invite a life of clarity, purpose, and blessing. The path to abundance begins within. Poverty, in its deepest sense, is not just a lack of material resources, it is a limitation of belief, a mindset bound by fear, doubt, and scarcity. The psalm that is dedicated for 3 days serves as a spiritual instrument, a bridge connecting the human heart to divine providence, to universal abundance, and to a reality where scarcity is no longer dominant. The energy embedded in sacred words, when approached with faith, reverence, and unwavering attention, has the power to recalibrate life itself. This 3-day practice is not merely repetition. It is a deliberate, concentrated act of spiritual alignment designed to dissolve limitations and awaken the consciousness to the flow of prosperity. Faith is the cornerstone of this process. To recite the psalm without belief is to speak into silence. Poverty responds to the energy of doubt, stagnation, and fear, but it retreats in the presence of faith, focus, and intention. The 3 days of dedicated recitation are a commitment to belief, an acknowledgement that there is a higher order, a divine intelligence, and an energy of abundance ready to flow when called upon. Faith is not passive. It is an active engagement with the unseen, a conscious choice to trust that limitation does not define life. Each word of the psalm carries this energy. and when repeated with conviction, it becomes a declaration that scarcity has no authority over the practitioner's life. Consistency over the 3 days is essential. The power of repeated, intentional focus cannot be underestimated. Just as the tides are shaped by the consistent pull of the moon, spiritual momentum grows with dedicated repetition. Each recitation of the psalm reinforces belief, strengthens intention, and activates the energy of abundance. The first day may serve as a setting of intention, the second day as a deepening of alignment, and the third day as an activation of manifestation. The concentrated energy created during this period sets in motion forces that are beyond human manipulation, forces that respond to sincerity, devotion, and persistence. Visualization amplifies the effect of the psalm. While words carry spiritual energy, the mind is the medium through which reality is shaped. As the psalm is recited, one should vividly imagine poverty dissolving, resources appearing, and opportunities manifesting. Each image of abundance strengthens the magnetic pull toward prosperity. The mind, when aligned with faith and intention, becomes a powerful channel through which divine energy flows. Visualization creates clarity and expectation, transforming the practice from mere ritual into an active creation of reality. By seeing abundance, feeling it, and believing it as inevitable, the practitioner opens the door for it to enter life tangibly. Gratitude is the force multiplier of this practice. Abundance is attracted not only by desire but by appreciation. When reciting the psalm, it is essential to recognize existing blessings, small moments of provision, guidance, or clarity, and express genuine gratitude. Gratitude shifts the energy from lack to fullness, from expectation to reception. It demonstrates a readiness to receive, a heart aligned with abundance rather than scarcity. The 3-day practice is enhanced exponentially when each recitation is infused with genuine acknowledgement of the divine provision that already exists. Gratitude transforms the recitation into an active celebration of life's potential and the certainty of future blessings. Action is an essential complement to faith and recitation. While the psalm carries spiritual energy, it is amplified when matched with intentional steps that reflect readiness and openness to receive. Opportunities that align with prosperity should be pursued, resources managed wisely, and actions guided by clarity and purpose. The universe responds not to passive desire, but to prepared, deliberate movement in the direction of abundance. The psalm clears the internal path, but it is through action that the external world is engaged and shaped. Poverty recedes when intention, faith, and effort converge in harmony. Patience is required during this sacred practice. Spiritual shifts often begin internally before becoming visible externally. The first signs of change may appear subtly: new insights, opportunities, or connections that indicate the flow of abundance. These are confirmations that the energy of the psalm is active and responding. Trusting the process, maintaining focus, and continuing with devotion ensures that momentum builds. The 3 days are a concentrated period, but the effects extend beyond this time, initiating a ripple that reshapes circumstances, beliefs, and perception. Patience allows the practitioner to observe transformation without doubt, creating a steady channel for abundance to enter. Spiritual alignment is the deeper reason this psalm works. Poverty is often a reflection of misalignment with divine principles or universal laws. When the psalm is recited with sincerity, humility, and focused intention, it realigns the practitioner with divine energy. Barriers created by doubt, fear, or resistance are dissolved. The soul is repositioned into harmony with the flow of provision, allowing the energy of abundance to move unimpeded. Faith, focus, gratitude, visualization, and action converge, creating a resonance that poverty cannot withstand. The 3-day dedication becomes a spiritual recalibration, realigning thought, intention, and energy with the universe's infinite possibilities. The intensity of 3 consecutive days is significant. Short-term, concentrated focus produces results that extended, unfocused practice cannot. Each day, As the psalm is recited with devotion, the energy builds, like sparks that combine into a steady flame. This period of focused engagement communicates readiness, commitment, and intention to the universe. Poverty begins to dissipate not because of mere words, but because the alignment of belief, emotion, and action triggers a response from the divine and universal energy. The concentrated effort creates a momentum that accelerates the manifestation of abundance, showing that focused intention is more powerful than prolonged, distracted effort. In conclusion, reciting this psalm over 3 days is a profound spiritual exercise designed to dissolve poverty and invite abundance. It is not a mere ritual, it is an intentional alignment of mind, heart, and spirit with faith, visualization, gratitude, and purposeful action. Poverty, as a state of limitation, responds to these energies, retreating as the practitioner's belief and intention strengthen. The 3 days activate a flow of abundance that is sustainable, visible, and transformative. By committing fully, trusting the process, and engaging with the practice with devotion and clarity, one invites a life where scarcity is replaced with provision, fear is replaced with faith, and limitation is replaced with the infinite potential of divine abundance. Poverty is not only a condition of material lack, it is often a reflection of internal limitation, doubt, and fear. The psalm practiced with devotion for 3 days is a spiritual instrument that transcends circumstance, touching the deepest layers of consciousness and belief. Through intentional recitation, the words become a conduit of divine energy, aligning the heart, mind, and soul with the infinite abundance that is already present in the universe. This practice is not a ritual without meaning. It is a deliberate invocation of provision, a sacred engagement with faith, and an act that signals readiness to receive the blessings that life has to offer. By dedicating 3 full days to this psalm, one sets in motion spiritual, mental, and emotional transformations that dissolve scarcity and invite prosperity. The first and most crucial element of this practice is faith. Faith is the invisible force that bridges the seen and unseen, the material and spiritual. Poverty is sustained by disbelief, by the mindset that limitation is permanent. Reciting the psalm with faith over 3 days challenges that belief at its root. Each word, each verse becomes infused with energy that communicates readiness and receptivity. Faith is active, not passive. It requires focus, intention, and a deep trust in the divine and universal order. When faith is present, the words of the psalm are no longer mere recitations. They become declarations of abundance, affirmations that limitation has no authority over one's life. Consistency in recitation is vital. The 3-day period is not arbitrary. It creates a concentrated focus of spiritual energy that sets transformation into motion. Each repetition builds momentum, layering intention upon intention, aligning energy, and reinforcing belief. On the first day, the focus is often on setting the intention clearly, grounding the practice in conscious belief. The second day deepens this connection, strengthening the alignment of mind, heart, and soul with the divine flow. By the third day, the energy becomes activated, resonating at a frequency that dissolves scarcity and opens channels for provision. Consistency ensures that the spiritual momentum is uninterrupted, allowing transformation to occur with power and precision. Visualization amplifies the effect of this psalm. As the words are recited, the practitioner should vividly imagine the life of abundance they wish to manifest. See the opportunities that arrive, feel the financial and emotional relief, and embrace the reality of prosperity. Visualization is not simply imagining, it is co-creating. The mind is the interface through which spiritual energy manifests. By seeing abundance clearly and consistently, the practitioner signals to the universe the intention to receive, inviting divine energy to align circumstance with vision. Every detail of this visualization strengthens the pull of provision, making the psalm an active instrument of manifestation. Gratitude is an essential complement to faith and visualization. recognizing and appreciating what is already present in life shifts the energy from lack to abundance. As the psalm is recited, focus on existing blessings, moments of guidance, and signs of provision. Gratitude is an amplifier. It magnifies the spiritual energy invoked through faith, intention, and visualization. The 3-day practice is enriched by the conscious acknowledgement of blessings, reinforcing the belief that provision is available, attainable, and inevitable. Gratitude transforms the psalm from ritual into an act of joyful co-creation with the divine. Action remains an essential component. While the psalm carries spiritual power, it must be paired with intentional effort in the material world. Opportunities that align with abundance should be embraced, resources managed wisely, and efforts directed toward productive growth. Faith activates energy, visualization aligns it, gratitude amplifies it, and action channels it into tangible outcomes. Poverty retreats when spiritual practice is integrated with purposeful movement. The psalm opens doors, but action walks through them. A life of abundance requires both the spiritual alignment the psalm offers and the practical steps that reflect readiness to receive. Patience is required to witness the transformation fully. While the energy of the psalm begins immediately, its manifestation may appear gradually. The first signs might be subtle: an unexpected opportunity, a shift in mindset, or a small financial blessing. These are indicators that the spiritual process is active and responding. Trusting in the divine timing ensures that the practitioner remains aligned and receptive. Patience is not passive waiting. It is active faith, maintaining focus and devotion while observing the subtle ways in which provision begins to flow. Spiritual alignment underpins the effectiveness of this psalm. Poverty often persists because of misalignment, attachment to fear, negative patterns, or resistance to divine order. By reciting the psalm with humility, devotion, and intention, the practitioner realigns their energy with abundance, clearing internal blocks and opening channels for provision. Faith, consistency, visualization, gratitude, and action converge, creating a resonance that scarcity cannot withstand. The alignment allows divine energy to flow freely, transforming both internal beliefs and external circumstances. The 3-day period serves as a concentrated interval of spiritual activation. Short-term, intense dedication produces powerful momentum. Each recitation during this period intensifies the energy, demonstrating commitment and readiness. Poverty loses its hold as the practitioner's belief, intention, and alignment create a force that cannot be resisted. The concentrated focus of 3 days acts like a spiritual accelerator, transforming faith and intention into tangible results. In conclusion, this psalm, practiced over 3 days, is a potent spiritual tool to dissolve poverty and invite abundance. It is not mere repetition, it is a deliberate alignment of faith, visualization, gratitude, action, and spiritual attunement. Poverty, as a state of limitation, responds to energy, intention, and belief. By engaging fully with the psalm, the practitioner invites divine provision, universal abundance, and a life where scarcity is replaced by opportunity, fear is replaced by faith, and limitation is replaced by possibility. The 3-day practice activates spiritual, mental, and emotional channels, ensuring that provision flows, obstacles diminish, and abundance becomes an inevitable reality. The psalm transforms life from one of scarcity to one of divine prosperity, demonstrating the power of focused, faithful, and intentional spiritual practice. The journey from scarcity to abundance begins with awareness. Poverty is often more than a material condition. It is a reflection of thought patterns, beliefs, and energy that attract limitation. The psalm dedicated for 3 days is a spiritual instrument that addresses these internal patterns, transforming mindset, energy, and circumstance. When practiced with intention, faith, and devotion, This psalm becomes more than words, it becomes a channel through which divine energy flows, dissolving limitation, opening pathways, and aligning the practitioner with the flow of abundance. Over 3 days, the repetition of this sacred text, infused with belief and visualization, activates a force that begins to shift not only external conditions, but internal perceptions, setting the stage for a life of provision, clarity, and opportunity. Faith is the foundation upon which the effectiveness of this practice rests. Reciting the psalm without belief is like trying to ignite a fire without a spark. It may produce sound, but not warmth or light. Faith is the conscious recognition that unseen forces govern life in ways that are often beyond human comprehension. Scarcity, limitation, and poverty exist when faith is weak, when doubt dominates, or when energy is misaligned. By engaging with the psalm over 3 days with unwavering trust, the practitioner declares to the universe and to the divine that lack has no authority, that provision is certain, and that abundance is her or his natural state. Each word spoken with faith becomes a vibration that resonates through mind, heart, and spirit, setting the frequency for wealth, opportunity, and prosperity. Consistency over the 3 days is essential. The concentrated focus of repeated practice creates spiritual momentum, layering intention upon intention. On the first day, the practitioner establishes clarity of purpose, setting the intention to dissolve poverty and invite abundance. The second day reinforces belief, deepens emotional alignment, and strengthens visualization. By the third day, the cumulative energy of faith, focus, and intention reaches a threshold where manifestation becomes activated. This consistency transforms the psalm from simple recitation into an energetic force that begins to shape reality, signaling readiness for abundance and aligning internal and external conditions with provision. Visualization strengthens the power of this practice. The mind is the interface through which spiritual energy manifests in the material world. As the psalm is recited, one should visualize poverty dissolving, resources arriving, and opportunities opening. Feel the relief of provision, the joy of stability, and the certainty of abundance. The clearer and more detailed the vision, the stronger the magnetic pull toward manifestation. Spiritual practice is amplified when paired with mental imagery, allowing faith and intention to translate into tangible outcomes. The psalm becomes an active tool for co-creation, guiding the practitioner from limitation toward the life they envision. Gratitude amplifies the effectiveness of the psalm. Recognizing blessings already present in life shifts energy from lack to fullness. Even small signs of provision, guidance, or progress are worthy of appreciation. Gratitude creates an energetic resonance that attracts more of what is acknowledged and celebrated. During the 3 days, integrating gratitude into recitation transforms the practice from routine into a powerful spiritual engagement, reinforcing belief in abundance and diminishing attachment to scarcity. The combination of faith, visualization, and gratitude generates a potent alignment, ensuring that the energy of the psalm is both activated and sustained. Action is an integral component of this process. Spiritual alignment alone opens the channel, but purposeful steps are necessary to translate energy into reality. Opportunities must be recognized and embraced, decisions made with clarity, and effort directed toward constructive growth. The psalm removes internal blocks, shifts perception, and aligns energy, but action ensures that external conditions correspond to the new alignment. Poverty diminishes when intention is paired with readiness to receive, and when action is consistent with belief and purpose. The 3-day practice is most effective when it engages both the spiritual and material dimensions of life. Patience and trust are crucial. Transformation may begin subtly, an unexpected opportunity, a shift in mindset, or a small blessing. These initial signs confirm that the spiritual process is active. It is vital to remain patient and maintain faith, even if immediate results are not visible. The 3-day practice is a concentrated period that initiates momentum. The ripple effects extend beyond this time frame, continuing to attract abundance and dissolve scarcity. Trust in divine timing ensures that the practitioner remains aligned, focused, and receptive throughout the process. Spiritual alignment is the deeper principle underlying this psalm. Poverty is often a reflection of resistance, misalignment, or attachment to fear and limitation. Through sincere, focused recitation, the practitioner aligns with divine energy and universal principles. Internal blocks dissolve, pathways open, and energy flows freely. Faith, consistency, visualization, gratitude, and action converge to create a resonance that scarcity cannot endure. The 3-day period becomes a concentrated activation of alignment, preparing the mind, heart, and soul to receive abundance fully and effortlessly. The intensity of dedicated focus during these 3 days cannot be overstated. Short-term, deliberate engagement produces results that prolonged, distracted practice cannot. Each day of recitation, visualization, and gratitude strengthens the energetic field, communicating readiness, commitment, and intention. Poverty begins to recede as the practitioner's alignment, belief, and actions converge. The concentrated energy of this period acts as a catalyst, accelerating the manifestation of abundance and creating momentum that continues beyond the 3 days. In conclusion, dedicating 3 days to this psalm is a transformative spiritual practice that addresses both internal and external aspects of scarcity. Poverty is not merely a material condition, it is an energetic and mental state that responds to alignment, faith, and intention. By reciting the psalm with devotion, visualizing abundance, expressing gratitude, and taking purposeful action, the practitioner initiates a process that dissolves limitation and invites divine provision. The 3-day practice creates concentrated momentum, realigning mind, heart, and spirit with the energy of abundance. Through faith, focus, and alignment, scarcity loses its hold, opportunities arise, and provision becomes inevitable. This psalm transforms life by cultivating clarity, trust, and readiness, demonstrating that abundance is the natural state of a soul aligned with divine will. Poverty is not merely a lack of resources. It is a reflection of belief, perception, and energy. It exists when doubt, fear, and scarcity dominate the mind, restricting the flow of provision and opportunity. The psalm, dedicated for 3 consecutive days, serves as a spiritual catalyst, a deliberate act of alignment that connects the practitioner with divine abundance. Over these 3 days, the repetition of sacred words, infused with faith, visualization, gratitude, and action, begins to dissolve limitation. The practice is transformative, not only because it calls forth external provision, but because it shifts the internal state of consciousness, reshaping perception, belief, and energy to attract prosperity. Faith is the cornerstone of this practice. Without faith, the recitation is hollow, words without life or energy. Faith is the conscious acknowledgement that the unseen is more powerful than the seen, that divine providence exists beyond human understanding, and that scarcity is not permanent. By reciting this psalm with sincere belief over 3 days, the practitioner sends a clear message to the universe. Scarcity has no authority, abundance is inevitable, and divine provision is already present. Each verse becomes a vessel of faith, activating energy that resonates with the natural flow of prosperity. Faith transforms repetition into intention, turning words into a conduit of divine manifestation. Consistency is essential. The 3-day commitment is not arbitrary, it creates focused momentum. On the first day, the practitioner sets the intention clearly, anchoring belief and purpose. The second day deepens emotional alignment, strengthens visualization, and reinforces trust in divine provision. By the 3rd day, the combined energy of faith, focus, and alignment reaches a threshold where manifestation becomes active. The repetition over these days ensures that spiritual momentum is uninterrupted, allowing abundance to flow naturally into life. The process teaches that consistent, intentional practice produces results far more powerful than sporadic or unfocused effort. Visualization enhances the impact of the psalm. As each word is recited, the practitioner should see vividly the life they wish to create, resources arriving, debts resolving, opportunities opening, and stability manifesting. This visualization is not idle imagination, it is co-creation. The mind acts as a channel for spiritual energy, and clarity of vision strengthens the magnetic pull of manifestation. When the heart, mind, and spirit are aligned with intention, the universe responds, opening pathways that were previously unseen or inaccessible. Each detail imagined reinforces the power of the psalm, turning faith into tangible outcomes. Gratitude is a powerful amplifier. Recognizing and appreciating blessings already present shifts energy from lack to abundance. Even small signs of provision, guidance, or opportunities must be acknowledged with sincerity. During the 3-day recitation, gratitude creates resonance that attracts more of what is celebrated. It strengthens the alignment of energy, belief, and intention, ensuring that the psalm is not just a ritual, but an active engagement with divine abundance. Gratitude also transforms the heart, allowing the practitioner to receive with joy, humility, and openness. Action complements spiritual practice. While the psalm activates energy and aligns intention, tangible effort channels this energy into results. Opportunities must be embraced, decisions made with clarity, and steps taken toward constructive growth. Faith, visualization, gratitude, and alignment set the stage, but action ensures that the external world corresponds to the internal shift. Poverty begins to dissolve when spiritual practice is integrated with deliberate movement, demonstrating that divine provision flows most effectively when matched with readiness and responsibility. Patience and trust are essential during this period. Transformation may not appear instantaneously, but subtle signs of change will emerge: new opportunities, shifts in mindset, improved clarity, and unexpected assistance. These initial signs confirm that the practice is active. Maintaining faith and focus throughout the 3 days ensures that momentum continues. The energy initiated during this concentrated period extends beyond these days, creating lasting alignment and continued attraction of abundance. Patience is not passive waiting. It is active faith, the conscious observation of change while trusting divine timing. Spiritual alignment underpins the effectiveness of this practice. Poverty persists when energy is blocked, belief is misaligned, or fear dominates. Through sincere, focused recitation, the practitioner realigns with divine principles, dissolving internal barriers and opening channels for provision. Faith, consistency, visualization, gratitude, and action converge to create resonance that scarcity cannot withstand. The alignment shifts both perception and reality, transforming not only the external conditions, but also the inner experience of abundance. The 3 days are a concentrated activation, harmonizing thought, emotion, and spirit with universal provision. The intensity of dedication over 3 consecutive days amplifies results. Short-term, focused effort creates momentum that can surpass extended periods of unfocused practice. Each recitation intensifies the spiritual energy, demonstrating commitment and readiness. Poverty begins to retreat as the practitioner's alignment, belief, and actions converge. The concentrated focus acts as a catalyst, accelerating manifestation and creating a ripple effect that continues to attract abundance beyond the initial 3 days. In conclusion, practicing this psalm for 3 days is a transformational spiritual exercise designed to dissolve poverty and invite abundance. Poverty is not merely a material state. It is an energetic and mental condition that responds to alignment, faith, intention, visualization, gratitude, and action. By dedicating 3 days with devotion, the practitioner initiates a shift in both internal perception and external circumstance, allowing divine provision to flow freely. Faith activates energy, visualization shapes manifestation, Gratitude amplifies abundance, and action channels it into reality. The practice aligns mind, heart, and spirit with the natural flow of prosperity, creating momentum that dissolves limitation and attracts opportunity. Over these 3 days, scarcity is replaced with provision, fear with faith, and limitation with the infinite potential of divine abundance. The psalm becomes more than words. It becomes a living, breathing instrument of transformation, showing that the alignment of belief, intention, and action is the key to a life of sustained prosperity and divine provision.